everybody, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time joining me here. I can't wait to get into this with you. This is going to be a deep dive into one of my all-time favorite decks, the Zombie Tarot. Now, I will admit that I typically only bring this out during the spooky season, so usually around this time of the year, October-ish. But I get it out every single year, and I have so much fun with it every single year. And can we just talk about my zombie bag? Peggy Fussy cutted this for me. It was like a fabric where she had to specifically cut out these chunks and then sew it all together, and I treasure it so much. We're going to set that up there. This fabric matches the vibe of this deck perfectly, but this is just an absolute delight to use as a deck. First of all, I did modify this deck. You can probably see that. I edged it in red, and then I kind of used a dark distress ink over top of it to kind of speckle all over to give it this kind of almost, well, I was going for kind of a dried blood look, and I think it was pretty successful. I think it fits the vibe of this deck so well. So that was a really fun modification I did. This deck does come in a really fun box that like fits the theme. It looks like a box of like bullets or whatever. It's totally your zombie apocalypse deck. It is a deck that is set sort of in the 1950s, and it has that aesthetic the whole way through. There is a ton of humor and cheek. It's really well designed in my opinion. The guidebook is hilarious and has this like vintage feel. It even has these like fake advertisements in the back of it like you would find in old catalogs. I mean, it's fantastic. There's some spreads in here. This deck is wonderful. But I realized I'd never done a full walkthrough or like deep dive into this deck, and I really want to do that with you today. So buckle up, strap in, we're going to get started. And finally, if you want a movie to get you in the mood to play with this deck, download or stream or whatever, find a copy to watch of the movie Fido. It's like this deck, but in a movie format. Okay, now with that said, let's zoom in and take a look at the cards. So a couple things about the layout of the card. First of all, in the Major Arcana, you have the title up top, and over in the top right, it tells you what suit you're in. So here it says Major Arcana, and then on the left, it has the card number. So that's the typical association. So here for the Fool, it says card number 0. So let's talk through what's happening on each of these cards, and hopefully you'll see why I love it so much and find it to be so fun. Okay, so here on the Fool card, we have a zombie just in the process, several actually, in this field, in this cemetery that are about to come out. And this guy, totally blissfully unaware, there's even a vulture over here too, blissfully unaware is bringing some flowers and a little picnic basket to go have himself a leisurely lunch as the zombies are about to come out and attack him. So we see the danger, we see the folly, but we can also see the sort of sweetness and naivete of this character to be like, everything's fine, it's okay. Our magician, we have a zombie body here. He's clearly experimenting. He's got a saw. He looks pretty pleased with himself. He's got all these different tools around him so that he can figure out, maybe like hack what's going on with this particular zombie, like what's happening. He's definitely going to use what he has available to him to survive the apocalypse, right? So he's going to try to understand it. It's super cool. Love that. In fact, actually, if you look closer, I just realized, if you look closer, we get these like petri dish glimpses as if he's actually trying to identify what started the zombie apocalypse, perhaps so that he can make more zombies. Maybe he's a bad guy. I don't know. I just realized that's kind of interesting. Our high priestess here, I don't feel super strongly actually about her one way or another. She's got a circle of fire. She's sitting on a skull. She's thematic with the deck, but she doesn't feel like she brings as much cleverness as the rest of the deck does, so she doesn't stand out to me in a major way. Maybe I'm missing something, but she just seems kind of wild and like, I don't know. She doesn't catch me, but this is interesting because this is actually bones that are on fire down here. Our Empress. So we have a human with her little zombie child that she's trying to take care of. She's teaching her how to garden. She's trying to nurture and care for her. She's got her chained up here. There's a shackle, so she's not being dumb about it. She's definitely taking care of herself, but she is definitely determined to nurture this little zombie child. I love this Emperor. He's perfect Emperor energy to me. In fact, I'll often think of this card when I think of the Emperor because he's very strong. He's take charge. He's protecting his family. He's ready with whatever he needs to be ready with. He's going to stand his ground and be in a position of power. In a zombie apocalypse, of course, the Hierophant would be the news station on TV, right? That would be the key. They would be the keepers of knowledge, the ones who are telling us and keeping us informed about what's going on. And we also, in this day and age, you wouldn't have had much access to information outside of the television, right, or the radio. So this just makes so much sense to me as a Hierophant card for this setting. This is freaking fantastic. So this is a lover's card, and if you get up really close and personal, I'm trying to find it here, like, I'm pretty sure what's happening is he's going to she's got his heart, his biological heart in her hands, and he is like about to take a potion that we would suspect would maybe turn him into a zombie. So it's kind of like he's committing to this life with her. Really, it really works. Like, it's such a readable deck, and it's so clever. Here we have the Chariot, and we have a hearse, and they're obviously fighting off attacking zombies, so they're really getting where they need to go. And here we have our Justice card, and it's the heart and the mind being weighed against one another. So very classical, actually, this Justice card. This is so great. So there's a zombie apocalypse going on, but our hermit is sitting here with a box of chocolates, a book, and her bathrobe. And she's just like, nope, I'm just going to check out for a while. I need to, like, have some me time. This Wheel of Fortune is also fantastic. Like, she's, the idea of like, the wheel's turning, she's kind of helpless to stop it turning, and the result will be what the result will be. This Strength card with the bullets and kind of showing, it's almost like a diagram showing, like, if you want to kill the zombies, this is where you got to get them. The Hanged Man dangling over top of the zombie horde here. It's much less peaceful, obviously, but he is holding a gun, so he does have the ability to protect himself here. This Death card is super interesting because it implies that death here is not death. Death means becoming a zombie, which is a different kind of life. So he would be transitioning from one type of living to another type of living, which is a very different perspective on that card. Here in the Temperance card, it's like this trying to figure out. It's like this person's got blood, this person's giving something. It's like this trying to figure things out to manage the zombie virus or whatever it is. By the way, this is going to probably be really inappropriate in this moment, but by the way, when our whole global pandemic stuff started happening, somebody recommended this deck to me as one to use for readings on it, and it actually was really helpful to me because it felt like it was kind of acknowledging just the crap show everything was, you know, and letting me kind of get a little insight into how to best manage self-care and that kind of stuff. This deck actually did beautifully in that situation. Here we have the Devil card, and this is one of those old cigarette machines, which I think is just pretty on point. And it looks like there might be like a zombie, yes, peeking out around the wall in the shadows there. In the Tower card, you have a high tower. The lightning's hitting, sure, but you get this kind of zoomed in look to one of the floors, and you can see that there's a bunch of people here, and some zombies have just broken in to their apartment. For the Star card, the idea of this says Zombie Slayer, Medal of Honor. So this would be a sign of hope, right, in that time. Oh, a Zombie Slayer, yes, that's definitely hope during a zombie apocalypse. Here we have the Moon card, and there's definitely this idea that there's illusions happening. There's this sort of dreamlike environment. I really like that card. And the Sun being airlifted out, of course, of a zombie situation. Very, very, very positive outcome for that circumstance. Judgment card, this is so trippy. It's like a nuclear bomb kind of situation. There's somebody with a finger on the fire button, and this idea that, like, okay, it's time to do a definitive action to, like, move into the next phase of life. There's a lot of dark comedy in this deck for sure. Here we have a bunker, and the world is literally on fire, so this is what happens after the Judgment card. But there's hope for a new life to begin once, I guess, everything settles down. And now we're into the suits. So this should have given you a pretty good idea of the type of humor, the sort of type of approach to the tarot. This is not a deck that, like, I feel like is good in every situation or for every audience, but it certainly really feels... it feels like a trip into the show The Walking Dead, but with a lot more humor and, like, being more dated, you know? So anyways, here's the wands. We have our leg bone, I'm assuming, here that a zombie has. The Two of Wands is showing a zombie here, and there's characters, and it's almost like we're seeing the characters or the zombie trying to figure out which way he's going to go next, like which person he's going to chase. In the Three of Wands, they're literally taking a battering ram. So they've decided what they're going to do. Like, so they're going to go after this room and these people. They've decided, so now they're taking action. They're going to battering ram with apparently a big giant bone into this room where there's a family having a birthday party. The Four of Wands, they are in there. They've obviously, this is the same party because the streamers are the same. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. That's great. You can see the same wall hangings and the same streamers. So they've now gotten in. They've eaten the family and they're celebrating. They're having their little picnic in there. So dark. Here in the Five of Wands, the zombie kids are fighting over this guy's leg. Ew. But it's kind of funny. The Six of Wands, the undead are victorious. It's official. Military retreats and all recovery missions are abandoned. No hope. You're on your own, it says. So the zombies are feeling pretty successful at this stage. Then in the Seven of Wands, this dude's trying to defend himself against some zombies. Or he is a zombie. Oh, he's defending his kill, I guess. He's gotten this dude and he's defending it against others that are trying to take it from him. The Eight of Wands, we have roller skating zombies, which is definitely brings that speed element into play for sure. The Nine of Wands, there's like one couple here, obviously trying to ward off the zombie horde, and they're about to lose. There's this feeling of like being overwhelmed for sure. And then we have the Ten of Wands. Like this guy's trying to carry all these bits, but he's going to have to set some of the load down. He can't do it all by himself. It's interesting that you see a lot of these cards from the perspective of the zombies. Here we have our Page of Wands, who's a zombie baby. The Knight of Wands, who is a zombie cowboy. The Queen of Wands is a zombie nurse. And the King of Wands is like a zombie handyman kind of dude. He's being very innovative with drilling out this this leg bone to do something with it, question mark. All right, so those were the wands. We're now into the cups. It's so funny. This is such like, the more that I look at this, the more I'm like almost like not embarrassed, but like shy about it. Like this is such a weird guilty pleasure for me, this deck, because it's so kind of dark and creepy and not like all my other stuff, you know? Anyway, our Ace of Cups, this is pretty great. So it's a diagram of the brain, and it has little arrows pointing to all the different emotions in the brain. So it's showing sadness, satisfaction, hunger, fear, love, envy, hate, anguish. And down here you can actually read. It says the chief distinguishing feature between man and the... Oh, wait. Between man and the lower amygdala is man's brain. Oh, no. Between man and the lower animals is man's brain. It gives the human being the power to think and to reason, to speak and to create. It goes on from there. But there, you can actually read this language. This would be a really fun deck to get out a magnifying glass with, actually. The Two of Cups is great because you can see, similar to the Lover's card, we have a human and a zombie. They're sitting down to get to dinner together, and they each have a very different meal, right? We have this one is eating a brain, and this one over here has a regular sort of meat and potatoes and vegetable kind of meal. Yeah. Our Three of Cups seems a little naive to me, but there we go. Or we have a... what's the three? Actually, I just realized that's an interesting Three of Cups because there's... Maybe you guys have a take on this, but they're getting married. It could be the same couple from here, right? Only in this case, actually, the zombie looks like it was the man, just by the clothing. What's the three? I'm really curious. Sorry, I'm going to check the guidebook, because I don't think I've ever noticed that there's no third figure. Usually that's a very... Let's see. Celebration, partnership, and good times. It says, do you take this zombie to be your lawfully wedded spouse? Well, why not? The Three of Cups signals a time of creation, so it's more numerological. The joining of two misfits in a weird zombie-human union through a wedding, birth, or new partnership. Don't let the criticism or judgment of others interfere with your happiness. Revel in the good times while you can. So, there you go. The Four of Cups here. What does it say about this one? I like that she's kind of nurturing him. There's this idea, but they both look really happy and stable. Oh, so it says boredom, dissatisfaction, and weariness. Sure, being a zombie seems exciting. Who doesn't enjoy sending crowds of people fleeing and screaming in terror? Yet there are moments when you're likely to experience boredom, melancholy, or ennui. When that happens, look for opportunities to rejuvenate yourself. A little fresh blood may be just the right thing to get you chasing after kids on the playground again. You can tell the guidebook is so cheeky and fun. The Five of Cups. Oh, that is sad. Oh, my goodness. The Six of Cups, also kind of sweet and creepy, but sweet. the Seven of Cups. We have our zombie, and she's thinking about all these different brains. Which one should she choose? I love this Eight of Cups. Like, it's like she's leaving this, does it say? I just realized, what is the card? Mindles? It's obviously like a big department store or a mall, and she's escaping it. All the zombies are being left behind. I love this Nine of Cups. It's so appropriate to this deck, right? She's safe, she's content, she's at the beach, she's got a gun and all the bullets she could possibly need, so she's good. You know, she's in a really good space, all things considered. You know, I just realized she's not at the beach. She's thinking of the beach. She's like almost daydreaming about the beach. I always thought that was a window, but that now I'm looking at it and I'm realizing that's a circle that's behind her, but it's not a window. That's interesting. So she's safe and comfortable, and she's thinking, she's almost like put herself in there, in that place in her mind. So she's doing a little escapism there. Love the Ten of Cups. They're having a whole beachside playtime, and there is a whole city on fire back here. But there is one little like skeletal like zombie coming towards them, and they aren't quite seeing that. Then we have our Page of Cups, who's got a brain and building some sandcastles. The Knight of Cups is surfing with his brain, which is amazing. The Queen of Cups is nomming at the beach, nomming her brain at the beach. And the King of Cups is underwater, but he still has a brain. So there you go. So now we're on to the Swords suit. Oh, I forgot to show you guys. So they have these, I didn't show you the anatomy of the cards in the Minor Arcana. Let me just point that out real quick. So in the Minor Arcana, you have the number of the card in this crosshair in the top right. You have a little symbol for the suit. So this has got two bone type things crossed on the other side. And then it's got them in reverse on the bottom. So almost like playing cards. So now we've got two crossed swords. So the cups had a little brain, a skull with a brain exposed as the cup symbol up there. Anyways, so we're on to swords now. We have the Ace of Swords. So if the sword says something for the zombie hunter, it says, love that. Then we have the Two of Swords. This is it's just such a clever deck. And you guys, it's so inexpensive. I'll link it down below, but I ended up actually getting it from somebody in my local community for like $10 cash or something. Like I was like, why not? I'll check it out. And it ended up being such a fast favorite. I don't think I would have ever ordered it online, but getting it locally for such an inexpensive deal, this was years ago. And I was just like, oh, this is so fun. This Three of Swords is icky, but it is like, they're carving a heart into slices, which is, I guess, kind of how the Three of Swords can feel. The Four of Swords, he's thinking about all of the fighting, but he's taking a nap. He's getting some rest. The Five of Swords, two humans fighting over a gun when they're being attacked by zombies. Maybe not the best use of their time. This is one of my favorite Six of Swords of all time, just because it's so freaking great. They're getting away from all the drama, and she's got a like machine gun, and she's shooting any zombies that try to climb in their boat. This feeling is real, okay? When you've been in the drama and you've been in conflict, and you're trying to move on, you just want to like get rid of any of that baggage that tries to come with you, and that's kind of what this feels like to me. It just actually is a really on point card in my opinion. And this is the most hilarious. It's such a memorable Seven of Swords, and almost every time I use this deck, I find a reason to talk about this specific card because it's just freaking fantastic. So we know that the Seven of Swords is usually about a little sneaky sneak. There's some treachery. Well, here it's like obviously like a wife and a husband, or well, they're a wife and a husband in my mind. The zombies have come, and she's kicked him down the stairs to buy herself some time. And I shouldn't find it as funny as I do, but it's so perfect for the Seven of Swords and the idea that like somebody's done something kind of shady, you know, there's like a sneak, a trick, a trick's being played, somebody's getting, you know, it's not good, but it's so like, we have this joke, right? Like in a zombie apocalypse, I just have to be faster than like the person behind me kind of thing. But this is like so bad, but so funny. Okay. The Eight of Swords. This is a card of really, really feeling trapped. And it's interesting because it's just this image of this person kind of going for a sword. And it's like this feeling like they're inside some kind of a cage-like structure. There's this like chicken wire around them. And they're reaching for the sword to cut themselves loose so that they can get the heck out of there. I don't know why it's this big anatomical like rib cage, but there is like this chicken wire situation happening. The Nine of Swords, all this fear and anxiety because he's got this head brace on, and you can see his arm is turning into a zombie arm. So they're trying to treat him, but he's obviously terrified, right? And then we have our 10 of swords. This guy, maybe he was the zombie hunter. In fact, was he the zombie hunter from early on? Oh, I guess we didn't have... Maybe, yeah, I don't know. He just kind of reminded me of somebody else in the deck. I can't remember who. But anyway, and they're pulling out his entrails. So that's a bad scene. Yep. I guess it's pretty gory. I guess I should put a warning this is gory, like on the thumbnail. I'll probably have done that by the time you see this. But anyway, here's our Page of Swords, who is just trying to investigate what's going on. You see the shadow of a zombie in front, and he's got a little hatchet. You see the zombie shadow? Yeah. Such a great Knight of Swords, just charging into battle with his tank, all guns blazing. Very classic Knight of Swords energy there. I love that the Queen of Swords is this like grandma with a machine gun. I mean, that's freaking fantastic, right? And she's got, actually, oh my gosh, so she's really clever. So the Queen of Swords is a smart cookie, right? Here, she's cut off somebody's foot, or she's found a foot and cut it off, I don't know, but she's set a bear trap, and she has a foot on it, and she's literally just like, come and get it, come on. You know, come here, little zombie, come get your snack, I'm gonna blow your head off. Such a weird video to make. This is probably why I never made a video before about this deck. But anyways, here's the King of Swords, and he also is perfectly ready to strategize. He looks like he is a zombie hunter. He's got all these zombie parts mounted on the wall behind him, and he's got his rifles. He's good to go. And now we're on to the Hazard suit, which is, I think, the only renamed suit. But this is the Pentacle suit, and it's been renamed Hazards. I'm sure there's a reason for that. I can't remember. We can check the guidebook in a bit. But here we have a zombie wrist that's covered in jewels. So, okay, this is an important point, because this actually is the suit that I think really brings home the Fido movie reference. But in this suit, the humans have tried to basically harness the zombies to be of use to them as a commodity, as a resource. So that goes the way that you would imagine it goes, but here we go. So we have our ace. Here we have our 2. So we have a guy here working in a lab of some kind, and he's harnessed. He's got one of these zombies leashed up. Most of the zombies gone now, which is interesting. Here in the 3 of Hazards, this is very Fido right now. We literally have the zombie fetching with this family. He's sort of been integrated as a pet. It looks like it's the same zombie. It is the same zombie. That's really interesting. So we have the same zombie being trained here. And then in the 4 of Hazards, we have... This is like literal fingers and ears. He's got all of this food, and then we see a zoomed in image of other people outside this. He obviously worked at this grocery store or something. And outside, there's all these people looking in because they also need food, but he's hoarding it all for himself. So that's very 4 of Pentacles energy for sure. Here we have the 5 of Hazards. And that's usually where we feel like we're like left out. There's someplace we could go, but we're out foraging. And she's out foraging. I'm trying to see if there's spaces she could go that's really obvious. I'm not necessarily seeing like a welcoming spot where she could go. If you spot it, let me know. It could be... No, there's zombies in this building. There is an open door like over here to this side. Again, I feel like this deck would be really fun to get out with a magnifying glass. But there's an open door over here. So there might be some shelter for her to run away to over there. But she's like digging through the trash. So here we're back to our zombies that we figured out how to train and put to work. They've got a raw beef steak on a stick and are leading this zombie around, who is chained to the lawnmower and getting him to mow the lawn. Then we have our 7 of Pentacles, and this is a card where we're usually waiting for results. So it looks like they're doing some testing on this zombie in a like a lab, a testing lab of sorts. And so they're having to kind of like go through the process and see if they can get enough knowledge to help them. But there's a real desire to sort of work with, try to figure out a way to manage all this in the Pentacle suit, which I think is really interesting. So here, the 8 of Pentacles, this is about mastery. They've obviously successfully preserved, I guess, a zombie head here. Let's see what the guidebook has to say about the 8 of Hazards. There's also keywords. We'll talk about the guidebook a bit more in a minute. But so it says the 8 of Hazards demonstrates the need to think outside the pressurized expansion tank. Okay, so not what I was thinking. If a current endeavor is failing or stalling, try rewiring the brain to explore new possibilities in different angles. Don't return to the same tactics over and over. You need to put your talents and imagination to better use. Okay, I see what they're doing there. Then we have the 9 of Hazards, the 9 of Pentacles. This is normally where we're enjoying our hard work, the results of our hard work. So here we've got some people, they're gathering food and resources in a shopping mall that's called the Dead Mart. Trained zombies, it says. So here, they finally got the zombies trained. It says train zombies right here. They finally got the zombies trained in a way that they are managing to figure out a way to live with them. And there's a bunch of zombies being walked by people on leashes. So you can see this is kind of where the Pentacles people have taken this situation. And you can really see it in this 10 of Hazards, where we have a family here is thriving with a little kid and a dog, and they have a zombie maid and a zombie butler. So love this Page of Hazards. So the Page of Pentacles is very much the newspaper route kind of dude, right? Like he's the one that will definitely make things happen. He's going to get his hands dirty. He's going to want to earn a living for himself. So here he's doing that. He's chained to the mailbox, and it looks like he's just basically handing out papers to people. Our Knight of Hazards is chained to a vehicle, and I'm not sure what his role here is. It looks like he's hit the pole. I don't know what's happening here, but he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Our Queen of Hazards is chained. Wait. The chair is chained down. I don't know if she's chained down. That's really interesting. And then our King of Hazards has legit been fully like bound up and chained to this chair. Almost like he's being forced to do office work, it almost looks like, because that's interesting. He's kind of got that businessman vibe that the King of Pentacles often has. So let's zoom out. So that is all of the cards of the Zombie Tarot. This doesn't have the most fantastic card stock. It's really cardboardy and stiff, but you know what? I don't even care. It was really, really, really cheap. I really enjoy working with it every year. My deck has certainly taken a beating. It's one of those decks that chips really easy, even with my edging. Maybe you can see it, but it chips really easy around the edges. But I freaking love it. Like, isn't that just the cheekiest, funniest, quirkiest kind of thing? There's something just really great about it. Even though it's dark and a little creepy, but it's so like mood-wise is appropriate for the Halloween season, but I found it reads very, 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 very well. It isn't a deck that I'll reach for client work unless somebody requests it, but I love having it and I love working with it for myself or for my friends and family. And then here we have the guidebook. So let's zoom back in. We'll take a quick flip through. So again, I love the format of this and I love the little write-ups. So we have understanding the suits and the numbers. So it does get into the numerological associations, which this deck does lean a little heavier into. A little bit about how to conduct a reading. There's some spreads here. The eyeball, the gravestone, the severed head, and the broken heart and the beginner. And then we have our card write-ups. The only thing I will say is that there's a weird color coding thing that happens in the guidebook that I'm not fond of. So it has the majors as red. The cups are blue, so that's fine. The wands are yellow, and the swords are red, and the hazards are green. So hazards are fine, and cups are fine. Swords being red is weird to me. But yeah, anyway. So for each write-up, you basically just have this little page with a thumbnail graphic. Sorry, I was out of frame. Thumbnail graphic, and then you have the title of the card, its number up in the top left, 3 keywords or key phrases, and then a paragraph about what the card means. And they're very, very, very effective. As you can tell probably from the ones that I read. This deck reads really well, and it's so fun. It's definitely a deck that I feel like, I don't know that it's overrated, because it certainly gets talked about plenty, I feel like, on TarotTube, but it's just one of those decks that, like, I just look forward so much to working with it every October, and that hasn't waned year after year after year, so I really do enjoy it. But it's kind of funny because it definitely is not... it's not an aesthetic that I would at all feel like I needed to reach for the rest of the year. But I will also point out, so if you're looking into a situation that could be really super dysfunctional, this is a good deck. I got that tip from a friend. And the other thing that I feel like I said, using this during some kind of a, like, when it feels like your whole world's falling apart or you're dealing with, I don't know, just a bunch of garbage. I feel like this is just a great deck to reach for because I feel like it calls the garbage as it is. Like, there's no beating around the bush. It just gets to the point, you know? So that, my friends, is the Zombie Tarot. This is by the same creators as the ones who did the Housewives Tarot. And it's It's amazing. It's so fun. I would love to hear your thoughts down below, especially if this is a deck that you have and that you enjoy, or if it's one that you've been curious about. I'd love to hear what you think now that you've seen a full walkthrough. Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and an extra big thank you goes out to the Unicorn fam. Hi! My channel members really help support what I'm doing here, and I appreciate you all so, so much. To everybody watching and commenting and liking and subscribing and all the things that you do, I appreciate you. Thank you for making what I do here so much fun. It means so much. So thank you all, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, wherever you might be in the world. Thank you, and may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye!